This week on 5 Brilliant Things, we have the fantastic Joanna Page.
If you want this, order it yourself. I don't see why we should all share, because what's the point? Have what you want. Yes. That's what you want. Don't come anywhere near
really
mine.
Feeling it.
It was the only situation I think I've ever been in my life where I thought, you're in the shit. This is serious. You can't get yourself out of this.
That is gripping and terrifying.
What I don't get about Willy Wonka, Grandpa Joe just needs to get the hell out of that in bed because he's taking from everybody.
Well, Grandpa Joe's a benefit cheat. Joanna Page.
Hello.
Nice to see you for the second time today. Now, normally I see the guests when they arrive.
Yeah.
But I saw you walking around in what can only be described as a trance-like state. We're in King's Cross, and to say you looked excited would be an understatement.
I got out of the car and I didn't have a clue where I was because I don't pay any attention to maps or where I'm going. So I got out and was like, oh my God, I'm in this pocket of London. That's just beautiful. I didn't even know this existed. It's gorgeous. Yeah, and it's boiling hot as well. And I don't have any children with me. So suddenly I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in Italy or somewhere. I feel like I should be doing and making the most of this. So yeah, I was walking along the street and then I saw the pair of you. I saw you looking at me and because I was in my own world. And then I thought, oh gosh, there's a man who's eyeing me up, feeling really quite excited about it.
You're back in Italy?
Yeah, I'm back in Italy. It's all sunny and I'm feeling really attractive. And then you went, oh, hi, Joanna, you're working with us in a moment. I was like, oh, yeah, brought straight back down to earth.
Yeah, I thought wouldn't it be great if you went, I'm allergic to mopeds, and just tried to get us to back off.
Yeah.
But is that the energy we gave off? Isn't that...
No, it didn't. Okay. I think I'm an actress, so I might be borderline narcissist. So it was just a slight turn of the head, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm feeling so attractive. I must be like sending out these vibes.
It's so lovely to have you on the show, and it's so funny because we were doing that thing last night, me and my wife. I just put my son to bed, and we didn't have long enough to watch anything for like an hour. So we're like, oh, what's on? And there was an episode of Gavin and Stacey. So we kind of watched it. And it was that brilliant episode. You know, I mean, they're all great. But when you're trying to have the baby with Gavin and you're staying off the booze, and it's the Indian takeaway episode. And it's so interesting watching it. It's such a brilliantly observed bit of comedy about... The whole episode is essentially... what families do when they order an Indian takeaway. It's so good.
Yes.
You know that lovely feeling? I don't know what it's like for you because you're part of it and you must have so many memories of the shoot that are intertwined with the thing that happened off set. But to watch it, it's so good.
Oh my God, I think every single day filming was just so much fun.
Yeah.
Because it isn't very often that you get a script which you think's really good and well written. You love your character, you love the people that you're working with, you genuinely find it all funny, and so you're just messing around all day and trying not to laugh at what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, and everything is just so true to life. Because I mean, you know, with the takeaway scene, I mean, and me as a person, I don't like sharing any of my stuff, and I will have a chicken korma. That's my favourite, but I do like to balance it with a prawn jalfrezi for a bit of bite.
Yeah.
And I like to have half and half, which I don't think they do in England, which is half chips, half rice.
Yes. Yep.
So I'll have chicken korma, prawn jalfrezi, and half. And I will not share with anybody. I don't want anybody coming near it. It's true. If you want this, order it yourself.
Yeah.
I don't see why we should all share, because what's the point? Have what you want.
Yes.
That's what you want. Don't come anywhere near
really
mine.
Feeling it. For the benefit of people listening at home, Joanna's really shouting at me. Like the eyes came out there. It's like, okay, all right. Now, what is your first brilliant thing?
Okay, my first brilliant thing is the 1984 BBC TV adaptation of John Masefield's books called The Box of Delights.
Right, okay.
Now, I first watched this in 1984 when I must have been about 7 years old. And it tells the story of Kay Harker, this young boy, and it's set like mid-1930s. Everybody's very posh and very English. I just remember it starting with this little train, and it's very like posh 1930s England. And I think I love it because it's so far away from me and Swansea and where I'm from. And it starts with like this little steam train going along, and Kay, like, basically, I've gone from Enid Blyton to like this, right? But basically, he's coming home from his boarding school for the Christmas holidays, and on the train, he meets Cole Rawlings, I think his name is, which is, it turns out, it's Patrick Troughton, and he's this old wizard, and he's got really curly hair, and he looks like all a bit scruffy, but he's this wizard. Oh yeah, and I can't remember if I said this is a children's show.
Yeah.
And so he passes to Kay this box. So it's like this little gilt box, and he passes it to Kay to look after because really dark forces want to get hold of the box. And all the way through, you are told that the wolves are coming, and the wolves are coming to get the box. And Kay then goes back home, and he's with all of his brothers and sisters and all the family and everything, but they all get snowed in. So that's like, suddenly the parents can't get home. So basically it's all of the kids living on their own in this big house together. They all get snowed in. Robert Stevens plays, he's basically doing Macbeth all the way through it. He plays Abner Brown, who is this priest who's terrifying. He's basically doing a performance like he is Macbeth, and him, and then Chubby Brown, and is it Chubby Brown, Joe Brown? Because I'm thinking Chubby Brown is the comedian.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
Getting my phone out.
It's
It's
Chubby
Chubby
Brown,
Joe.
isn't it?
It's Chubby Joe.
All right, like, you gotta get. Yeah, exactly.
Please
Yeah.
know that
I tell you what I think
Chubby
about wolves.
Not now, Chubs.
Come into my box of delights.
Yeah, exactly.
He's Abner Brown, then there's
Right.
Chubby Joe, and then there's another, and they're all priests,
Right.
and they're all scary, and they capture all of the children. They put them all in a cell, but and because they need to get hold of this box, because
of
when you
nuts.
open it, you disappear into the box and you become really small, and then you can fly. And it's basically he's trying to stop all of the evil people getting it, but it's set during Christmas time, and it reminds me of Christmas. There's just nothing like having some frightening priests putting you in a cell and trying to steal your box of delights with the wolves chasing you, and then there's this big Roman sort of soldier as well, and then there are these mice that are like life-sized trying to help as well. There's all of this mixed in to the theme of Christmas as well, and it just makes me think of Christmas. I've got the opening titles, which I know you can't play all the way through, but you've just got to listen to this, right? Because I think it was being a little girl. And
How old are you? So you were saying 7.
I was 7
Yeah.
then. I'm 48 now, and it's still got the same effect on me. I didn't know what I was watching, right? But I was just drawn into this slightly dark, well, very dark, frightening thing with all of these children sort of trying to survive, and it was all really theatrical. Robert Stevens is amazing, and I just basically got really, really carried away in Swansea, and it's really imprinted on me, and this basically is Christmas now. Right, listen to this. Oh my God, right. These are the opening credits.
Oh, wow. There you go. So there's a wolf that's just appeared. There's lots of snow. There's a terrifying clown with a red nose that's spinning away into the mist. Suddenly, what looks like Fu Manchu, there's an owl. There is a Roman soldier. His eyes have just fallen away. There's a Viking. There's an old priest. There's a crazy-looking wizard. And you just see the close-up of his eyes that have now become a box of delights.
And now
Yeah.
Christmas is now starting to come in now with this. And so it's dark to begin with. Now we're getting Christmas. And then starting to get dark again. The evil forces
and
are coming.
That
There we go.
is, yeah, I like that.
Right, so
Why do kids like being scared?
I don't know. I don't know if
Because
it's
it goes against the idea, isn't it, of like keeping things safe.
Yeah.
Is it that you're wrapped up, you're at home, it's kind of cold outside, it's warm in your house in Swansea, and suddenly this kind of sort of otherworldly, terrifying show appears?
I think it was that it was so English as well.
Yeah.
So it was so completely removed from Swansea.
Right.
And my world and my parents. It was just like, oh my God, this is what it's like in England.
Yeah.
You've got mad priests chasing you everywhere, and you've got magic. And because he's like a Punch and Judy puppeteer. And but then also, I think it was seeing Robert Stevens and seeing this really quite big, scary man who was putting in this massively theatrical performance, which I was really, really drawn to. And then the music and the fact that it's Christmas. So you're sort of, when it's coming up to Christmas and how you feel borderline hysterical all the time anyway. And you're just drawn into this magical world and you just get so het up by it all. I think it was going into that world. And I didn't know when it was coming on as well. Because I used to have to go and pick my dad up from work and it was always at about quarter past 4.
Can you explain that?
Well, gotta go. Gotta pick up Dad up. Like, exactly.
On a tray.
Yeah, exactly. It's got an image of your dad just sat on the wall going, my daughter's going to be here any second.
In Swansea.
She never forgets me.
I was driving from about the age of 7.
Exactly. But not even getting out of the car, just honking it twice. Gotta go, boys. Like that.
So go on, you pick your dad up from work.
Me and Mum, we'd have to set off in the car. She was driving, and I used to get really annoyed because I'd have just started watching the children's programmes.
Yeah.
But then it was like, we got to pick Dad up from work, and you'd have to get there by about 4:15.
Yep.
And then he worked in a garage, and I would just play up and down the pavement while we waited for him to come out. And then we drive back home, and then I could get there in front of the telly, and it was putting on the TV, and I had no idea what was coming on because my God, in the early days we didn't even have a video or anything. It was just you get what is coming on.
Yeah.
And so when this came on, I don't think I even got to watch all of the episodes. I put it on, and then sometimes it already would have started, or I'd be like right in the middle.
Yeah.
So there's certain moments that I remember and which stand out for me, and it wasn't until I got the DVD that I sat through and watched it all the way from start to finish.
Do you think that made you want to be an actor?
I think it did. I think, because with my other things, I don't know why, when I was little, my nan was the matron of a home for the blind, and so I would go down there, and she had there were really, really big grounds, and she used to live in a flat there, and so it was this really big Glenvivian home for the blind, and she was the matron and everything. There'd be all the old people there, and I would go down there, and she'd make me clean, and I'd chat to the old people, and there were these huge grounds, and I was an only child, and so I would go off and make up sort of stories, and I'd be in my own world, and then I was obsessed with all of the sort of 1930s, 40s English things, and sort of this just sort of went into it. And I think it was just this whole idea. I just used to read so much Enid Blyton and all of the Famous Five and the Secret Seven, and I just had this whole image of myself, an idea of being like this, and I think that is what then made me go on to become an actress, wanting to sort of be in my own world and act out these stories, and just this constant danger and threat and trying to escape people. And that was then when I wanted to go to drama school and become this really dramatic actress, and then that's why it's so bizarre that I've ended up, and people just think that I'm this, comic actress, and it's so far removed from where I kind of started out.
So were you putting on that kind of voice as a young girl?
No, because I couldn't. Well, I think I probably would have been, but I wouldn't have been doing it right or anything. But I think, I was all very much all quite twee and, yeah. I think that's why I took a battering when I went to drama school, because everybody was getting really down and filthy, and I was still Enid Blyton and Agatha Christie and all very much like that.
What was the drama school you went to?
I went to RADA.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. So it was quite brutal.
I used to do gigs at RADA. Isn't that weird?
No way! You used to do gigs?
I went through this really strange phase where, for whatever reason, I probably did 10 gigs at RADA, where I would do, in the main foyer, you've got that little stage, and there's the kind of cafe there, and I would just do these kind of hour-long gigs.
Oh my God.
Previews. And I remember once Alan Rickman came just walking through. He's obviously an old alumni. And I saw him and started riffing off of, his kind of, the character who plays in Robin Hood. Bring a spoon, it'll hurt more. And all that. And he's looking at me as if to go, who the fuck is this twat? But so I had this kind of weird relationship where I used to kind of just go in there and do gigs for about 2 years. But it's a bit, I don't know if you've been to Oxford.
No.
I've done a gig there, but when you sort of walk in these kind of notorious, hallowed spaces, it's very interesting as an outsider to go, or a bit like going to the Groucho Club, for example.
Yeah.
You go, oh, right, this is it's just a pub. But do you know what I mean? It's
yes.
Was it a daunting place to go? It looked incredibly... you were sort of, I can imagine coming from Wales, going there, feeling like you're hearing your own voice.
Yeah,
a
it
lot.
was terrifying.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, because I went in 1995, so it was kind of like the old RADA, because then they've done it all up and everything now, and it's all amazing. But I devoured Kenneth Branagh's autobiography because he went,
Right.
and and it was during a period when I was walking. I was going up to watch the RSC a lot. My parents would take me up, and I'd be walking around Stratford with my parents, and I was wearing flares a lot and going into charity shops and getting old men's velvet jackets, and I was being really quite swept up in this world. And I devoured Kenneth Branagh's book and thought, this is what it's going to be like. This is it's just going to be wonderful. And then I got there, and it wasn't. It was awful. And it was just terrifying. And I didn't even know really where I was. I was living in halls of residence next door to RADA on Gower Street. And I would come out of there and cross the road and go to Gould Street Station. And then I get the tube to Covent Garden, to go to Covent Garden for like a weekend, because I didn't know how close it was to me. But yeah, it was really scary. It was really scary. And I was still all in my world of, Box of Delights and wanting to basically be like Enid Blyton and Agatha Christie and in all of this world. And it was just, but yeah, it was awful. It was awful there. I remember once walking in and seeing Kenneth Branagh in the reception, and I was so excited and so starstruck that I just stood there, and then I followed him, and he was talking to our vice principal, and there wasn't really anywhere much that you could go. I mean, I walked in, and oh my God, Kenneth Branagh was there. And so I sort of potted and just stayed there. And then as he started walking with Ellis, I just followed, and I walked through, and then we got to where Ellis's office was up the top, and it was like this little winding staircase with just the one room up the top, which was his office. And so I followed, got to the staircase, and they started walking up, and I just started walking up, and I got halfway, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to have to go back down. There's nowhere else to go. And I turned around and went back down.
It's like somebody that didn't have the courage to go on like a big flume.
Yes,
At a water park now, too much for me. Too much elevation.
What is your next brilliant thing?
Oh, my next brilliant thing. Oh, I think I'll go to my dog, Daisy.
Okay.
Yeah, so Daisy was my absolutely beautiful Jack Russell Terrier.
Right, you're in the right place.
Oh, have you got a Jack? Have you got a, yeah?
I used to have, yeah. So we had a Jack Russell called Archie.
Oh.
And is Daisy no longer with us?
Daisy's no longer,
Yeah, same with Arch, yeah.
How long did Archie live till?
15, 15. Yeah. We had he was fantastic. Great dog.
Oh,
They're great
God,
dogs.
just amazing.
A lot of spirit, a lot of energy.
So much. I got Daisy in 2000. I'd moved into this flat in Clapham Junction. It didn't have a garden, and it was a flat. And I said to Mum, I want to get a dog. I want to get my own dog. I'm just fed up now. I'm not a student anymore. I want to look after something. And she said, I know what's good for a flat with no garden. A Jack Russell.
Yeah.
It'll be brilliant.
Yeah.
Which is just like so not a good dog for a flat with no garden.
Yeah, exactly.
And so she knew somebody who just bred some from their own ones, that they had in their house. So I went to go and see them, and they said, oh, sorry, all the pups have gone. And then the older dogs parted, and this tiny little pup just walked out in between them. And I went, oh my God, who's that? And they said, oh, that one, that's Sally. She's the pick of the litter. But, we're saving her because she's lovely. So I went back home, and I begged them for ages, saying, oh my gosh, is there any way that I can buy her? And they were like, not having any of it. Went back home, and then they phoned the house, and they said, is the Grand National on today? We've changed our mind. We'll take 50 quid for her if you want to come up and get her. So I was like, oh my God, of course.
What was the link to the Grand National?
Oh, it was
They
they wanted to put a bet on. Yeah.
Oh, so you needed 50 quid?
They needed 50 quid, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so he said, so his wife had come back home, and she'd gone, oh, it's fine, let's get 50 quid for the Grand National to sell the dog. So I went straight back up, and I got her, brought her back home to my house in Swansea, and I just remember sitting there and like sort of holding her and nursing her like she was my firstborn. And then she came to live with me then in London, and I just remember walking out of the door, bumping into my landlord, and he said, oh my God, what's that? And I said, it's my brother's dog. I am just looking after it for the moment. Obviously, I'm an only child. I don't have a brother. And he said, if that is your dog, you need to get out because I'm not having animals here. And then she's what prompted me to buy my first house.
Wow.
Yeah, so I must have been about like 22. And I'd saved some money because I'd just done a film. And so I'd saved some money, and I thought, right, okay, I'm not getting rid of Daisy. Oh yeah, because she was originally called Sally, and I changed her name to Daisy. So
Why?
I thought,
What was it?
I think I just loved the daisy flower.
Yes.
I just think because it's just so simple and pure and it's just simple and pure.
Mm.
And so that's why she became Daisy.
My mum had a dog called Sid that was, when she bought him, he was called Scout, but she's changed it because Scout was his slave name. And she wouldn't have it because she bought him off. They were terrible people and they abused him so that he was reborn. And my friend Steve, who is an arsehole, would always say to my mum, all right, our Scout, knowing that it would very silently rile my mother. His name is Sid, well, you know.
Oh my
But yeah, and I
God.
can relate to that.
Yeah.
That thing of like a need to change the name.
Yeah.
Daisy's a lovely name for a dog as well.
Daisy, it
Yeah.
really is, isn't it? And so I ended up buying a tiny little house in Wandsworth Common, and we
Lovely.
went and moved in together. And I didn't know, what you do when you buy a house. I just remember going round, and I don't think the estate agent was there. He just said turn up at this time, and the old woman who lived in the house, she was there, and she had a basket with a small dog. And I went in, I was filming this thing, and I went in straight from work, and I remember Daisy just dived straight into a house, dived into the other dog's basket, and then started having a go at the other dog. And I walked in and I went, all I could think of was, oh my God, it's got a garden. It's absolutely perfect. Me and Daisy will be safe. So I just walked in and I went, yeah, it's perfect. It's brilliant. I'll take it. I'll have it. And she said, well, you will need to say that to the estate agent. And I said, well, can I just tell you? I'll have it. I'll pay full price. Just take it off the market. I'll have it. So she was like, okay, all right then. So we got the house. I moved in and we happily lived there. It was beautiful.
So how old? You're 23?
I must be about 23. I must have been about 23. But there were some shops, and I think this is where it stemmed from. She had a big personality, right, Daisy did. I went to this shop which was called Parrot something, and it had all these gifts and stuff in it, and she was only small, but I tied her up outside, and I thought I'm popping in just for 5 minutes. Popped in to pick up a present, and I could hear this barking and noise outside. And I walked outside, and there were some children, and they were sort of on scooters or bikes, sort of racing up and down past, not to her, but up and down on the pavement. And she was sort of barking and cowering, and I just think the whole thing of a bike and stuff going past and the noise of children had just really freaked her out. So I picked her up and got her. I mean, it wasn't even a huge thing, but it was to her because from that moment on, she hated children.
Yeah.
All children. And then that extended to anybody who resembled a child or anyone who was short.
Right.
So say you were walking past an old woman who had shrunk a bit and was like bent over a bit and was small,
Yes.
she'd go absolutely mental.
Yeah.
So it was children, anybody who was short, motorbike helmets.
Wheelchairs?
No, she was fine with the wheelchair. She was all right with the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So it was basically those kind of things. And I don't think she particularly liked men that much either.
Right.
Yeah, and she was very, very feisty.
This list is getting longer and
Yeah,
longer.
Yeah. She was hugely feisty. And I did panto once, right?
Oh,
And
that's
I was
difficult. Lots
playing.
of short people.
But
was
it was
it
going
Snow White?
No, it was...
Oh, thank fuck for that. Nice.
She was in my dressing room
Mm.
and you never knew which way she was going to turn. She took
So
her...
what was that like?
Oh, she was cool in my dressing room.
No,
It was
but
oh.
for you as an owner, is that stressy?
Oh my God, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And you'd be
But
sitting
you loved
there.
her so much.
I loved her so much.
yeah.
I was like, fine, we just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I'd be sitting somewhere and, like how you just want to sit and, outside and have a beer or have a coffee and you got your little dog there and everything's going, she was beautiful and everything's going all fine. And then they come to put the food down and she's like, "Rah!" And you've just got to apologise and go, oh God, I'm so sorry. She's fine. She won't bite you. She just likes to shout a bit,
Yeah.
And then I was doing panto, and so I was keeping her in the dressing room. It was just like, just keep her away from the kids. And she was in the wings at one point watching me being held in, I think it was my husband's arms. And then I came off stage and I had her. And as I was going back to the dressing room, Michael Aspel was playing my father in it. And Michael Aspel just came up and said, oh my God, is this Daisy? Is this your dog? And right, when you want to go, oh my God, be careful, because he just went right in straight away for a smooth. And I mean, that anyway to a dog, and then that to a Jack Russell, who, doesn't like men, motorbike helmets, or small people. He went right in, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, no, Daisy, not Michael Aspel. Just not Michael Aspel, please.
Michael Aspel, 5'9".
Yes.
Yeah, so his height was okay, but he was a man, and he'd caught her unawares.
Yes.
And as he came in, I just thought, oh God, no, not Michael Aspel, not him. And she was cool.
Yeah.
She was fine. He smoothed her, and she was relaxed, and it was as if she knew that she was like some form of theatre dog.
Do you think it's because Michael Aspel was so used to surprising people that he kind of knew he'd be fine? Because every day for him was like he must be so used to people going, "What the fuck?" like that. I've often thought, why don't they bring that show back?
I know.
I think that's one of the great shows. For
But
the
do you think it would
benefit,
be too complicated these days?
maybe, but for the benefit of people who are younger listening, there used to be a show called "Is This
Is Your Life?"
This Is Your Life, where Michael Aspel, the dog whisperer, would basically just surprise somebody. And then all of their friends, all of their family, all of their kind of, work colleagues would then meet this kind of...
Yeah, you go into a theatre, wouldn't you? And you'd always have the seat that was, well, you'd be on stage and then there'd be a seat there and then everybody came on and they'd be like, and next.
It was a surprise party, essentially.
Yeah.
And then we, the viewer, would sort of see their life through their friends. It was a really great show.
I think the reason they don't do it anymore is we've discovered that most of the BBC establishment figures'
Do you think
lives are not broadcastable.
I know. I mean, it's probably too complicated.
This is your
days.
redacted life. Like that.
This is your life, but most of it's on Zoom from prison.
Probably, because it's like,
weird?
and the person that you worked with in 1984, you kind of like, oh my God.
So, how was it like meeting men when you were a 22-year-old?
Well, I
with
was
a dog?
really worried, right? Because I'd had a relationship. I was with somebody when I got Daisy, and that was in the year 2000. And it was only a couple of months after splitting up with this fella that, so I'd only had Daisy. Oh God, it must have been for a couple of months. So she must have been about 6 months old or something like that. And I'd split up with that fella, and it was really, really soon. Well, basically, it was like straight away that I met James, who went on to be my husband. And when I met James, I was like, oh my God, I know this is different. I know he's special. He's gorgeous. I really fancy him. I don't want Daisy to fuck this up. So I remember she'd gone back. She was on holiday in Wales with my parents. Every now and then, say I was filming something or, I wasn't going back, at night time because I was off shooting. She'd go back and stay for a couple of days with my parents. And they were bringing it. So when I first started dating James, it was like I didn't have my child there because I could go and stay over his, or we could go and stay out really late.
Yeah.
I didn't have to be home for the dog.
Yeah.
So I was enjoying sort of being, young and single, but like starting to date James. But then the big moment came when Mum and Dad were coming to meet James for the first time, and he was going to meet Daisy. And I just remember being really, really nervous, thinking...
That could have been a game changer.
Yeah, because I was like, oh my God. And she always slept in bed with me as well.
Of course,
and I wasn't prepared to kick her out.
Of course
So
not.
it was like, this has to work.
Yes.
But
Please
I
tell me
think
you got Aspel on the phone to kind of like what cologne do you
he
wear?
had to be there as the go-between. But I remember...
It's gonna be fine. That's so funny.
Remember
Imagine the
James...
call to his agent.
Yeah,
You want me to...
I can do that. So how did it go? What happened? Take me
James
through it.
came into the house and Daisy was in there, and it was like she
God, the
sensed...
fear you must have had.
Oh my God, I was really, really nervous, but it was like she could sense that he was different. He's northern, he's a Yorkshireman, and also he's really tall and he's big, and so it can be like quite a dominating sort of thing for a dog. But I think because he's Yorkshire and he's really slow, I mean, he's like the complete and utter opposite to me. He's really slow, he's got a slow, deep voice, it's really calm. Everything, when he talks, it's really slow. Sometimes I've got to say to him, oh my God, just get to the point, because I'm like racing and I just want him to spit it out sometimes. But he's just like so slow and calm, and he just sat down with her, and oh my God, I just remember him smoothing her and she didn't like go for him. She just like rolled down and just went on her back straight away.
Oh wow.
And he just sat there and he was just tickling her stomach, just talking really calmly, and that was just it. She absolutely adored
Daisy
him.
just looked up at you and went, I get it.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
But
Phew, thank God for that.
I know.
But imagine if...
Oh God,
Isn't
it
it-
would have been a nightmare if she'd have just, because I mean, I've heard that from my friends, where their cats absolutely hate the new boyfriend,
Yeah.
and I mean, I didn't even know what we were. Well, I wouldn't have kicked her out. I would have had to say to him, "You just got to work around it."
Yeah, and then hopefully they get to
Yeah.
a level,
Yeah, where they can like tolerate each other. But he saved her life once. Well, oh my God, because she was just...
Which is remarkable given how slow he is. Do you know what I mean? Watch out for that car.
But he was in Emmerdale for a while. So
Right.
we got a flat in Leeds.
Yeah.
And so we used to go and stay up there because we still had our place then in London. And
Yeah.
so I used to go back and forth and visit him because he was up there for about 3 years.
Yep.
And there was this one time when Daisy and I were staying there, and it was right next to the canal.
Yes.
So we'd have like, and so there was the train station, and then there was the canal, which was like a real sort of current in it. And the canal would go down, and it would go underneath the train station into this tunnel, and then out into, I don't know what bit of water. I'm not very good on geography. But she was obsessed with water. So if she heard it, if there was, she could sniff it. I mean, she was
It's
like
the Jack
going
Russell way,
straight,
bang.
oh
Yeah,
God,
yeah, yeah.
straight under fences,
Yeah.
over walls. Oh my God, she was gone, and she just wouldn't come back. And we were walking along the top, and the canal was down there. And he'd been jogging, because I remember he had these like little shorts on and a vest and his trainers. And I don't know, me and Daisy must have just met him or something on the bank. We were walking along, she was on the lead, and then I said, oh, I'm going to take her off the lead so she can have a run. You could see her sort of like looking down at the canal. And I thought, oh my God, she'll be fine. Took her off, and she just went. She just started going straight down the bank. There were all these brambles and trees. She went straight down the bank, and then she got to the bottom of the bank. And I remember she looked up at us like that. And then she turned and she just flew off. And she was, we used to call her the fish pig because she had the body of a pig, but her bum smelled of fish because my dad used to give her sausages. And so it would give her really runny poos sometimes. And because her poos weren't solid, right, with dogs, you need a solid poo because when the poo comes out, they've got anal glands either side of their bum. And if they've got a solid poo coming out, it pushes the stuff out of the anal glands.
Yep.
If someone's feeding them sausages, it makes the poos softer.
Yep.
So when the poo comes out, it's not getting the stuff out of the anal glands. That can then get backed up and it
Yes.
starts to smell like fish.
Yes.
So her bum would start smelling like fish, but she had the body of a pig. She was short and squat, so she was called the fish pig.
Yes.
So, so she looked back. I don't know how I got onto that bit, but it
So
did
she's
have
in the
something to do
canal.
with it. She looked like
He
that,
saves
and
her
she
life.
jumped straight
Yeah.
into the canal. And oh my God, Jesus, she just went. I mean, it just swept her off. She was gone. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. James didn't even think. He just scaled it down the bank and he was going through the brambles and all of the trees and everything. He went straight down. I'm like clambering down, screaming. He got to the bottom and he just dived into the water and he was gone as well. And oh my God, you could see the fear in her eyes. I was running alongside screaming. And he managed to get to her and he put her on his chest. But there was just like, he couldn't get out. It was just all sort of concrete and on the walls and everything. He just couldn't get out. And I was aware that the tunnel was down there. And if he'd gone under the tunnel, I'd thought, I don't know where the hell the pair of them are going to end up. But he eventually managed to get his way to the side of the bank, pulled himself out, and then he clawed himself all the way back up the bank, through the nettles, through all of that, and then got up to the top. I'm hysterical. He puts her down on the ground, and then as she goes down the ground, the little shit turns around to go and do it again. I grabbed her just in time, put her on the lead.
Yeah.
We started walking back to the flat, and he started going, oh my God, my eyes. And he couldn't open his eyes. And he'd scratched all of his cornea and his eyes. When he'd gone down, he'd gone through the nettles and they were all brambles. He hadn't even thought, he'd just gone straight through them all. So he'd scratched all of his cornea. He had to go into the eye hospital. And they had to give him all medicines and everything because he completely scratched his corneas. And he got about 22 mouth ulcers from swallowing all of the water. And he was just laid up in bed really bad for about a week. Wow. Yeah, but he saved her life. And then,
Good on him.
it was only about...
more? Bloody
yeah,
hell,
it was
yeah.
only about a week or 2 weeks later. And I was up there again with her. And there was the canal down there. And then there was like... It was, I don't know what it's called, and barges go down it. And that was on the left-hand side. It wasn't the canal. It was water, and the barges would go down. And then there'd be locks every now and then. Well, they'd taken all of the water out of it to clean it. Or I don't know what they were doing. But it meant that the water had been drained, and there was mud. Oh, my God, it must have been like thick mud all the way in the bottom. So me and Daisy were walking along. I let her off the lead again, and she just jumped straight into it. There was no water, just like deep mud, and she just went straight in, and it just started pulling her under.
Oh, God.
And she was left, it was about like this, right, with just a snout, just a head and a snout sticking out of the mud. And I thought, oh my God, she's going to die. She's going to die. So I jumped straight in, and I went all the way in up to my thighs in the mud.
Yeah.
And it was just pulling me under. So I thought, right, I'm going to go on my stomach. So I went on my stomach and went across like that. Managed to get to her, grabbed her, put her on my chest. And the pair of us were just stuck in the middle of this mud bog. I couldn't get out. I was in up to my thighs, holding on to her, and I had to just stay there, just going, help, help, please, someone help. And eventually this fella who was across the road up a scaffold, and he was a builder, heard us, climbed down, crossed the road, and had to come and drag the pair of us out. Wow. And then I shoved her on the lead, and then we walked back, and I was wearing a new coat and a new pair of boots, which I just bought, absolutely ruined. And I just remember walking all the way back to the flat, walking in, and just going, she's done it again.
Yeah.
She's done it again. I can't believe it.
What is the next brilliant thing?
Oh my God. The next one, I'm going to say, is my dad's special prawn salad.
Okay.
Now, this prawn salad, right, it's not all fancy. It is really basic. I go home and I say, Dad, can I have your prawn salad? And it is 4 iceberg lettuce leaves, the small round tomatoes, cut in half, a few of those sprinkled over, frozen small prawns, put over
Small
that.
prawns, okay.
Yeah, small prawns.
Yep.
Put over that. And then it is a jar of seafood sauce piled all the way on top. Boom, that is it. Nothing else.
Nice and simple.
Yeah, really simple, and I can just eat it and eat it and eat it. I've been known to go home and he makes a load of it, right? I'll eat the whole thing, and then I just go, right, can I have it just all over again? And he'll just make it all over, and I'll just eat it again. I love the taste of it, but I also think it's the fact that I'm home, I'm in Swansea, I'm down the Mumbles, I'm in my family home, and my dad is a feeder. And so he just wants to look after you. And I get really excited when I'm going home because I don't get the chance to do it a lot, and I barely get to do it without the kids. But if I'm on my own and I'm going home for some reason, I always leave it until I'm about 10 minutes away from the house. And then I like to phone and go, hiya, it's me, what you up to? Oh, I'm thinking about coming home, today. I'll probably set off, in an hour, and I'll see you, in about 4 hours' time. Only joking, I'm 10 minutes away. And I don't know why, but I do it every time. And then they freak out and go, oh my God, we haven't got anything here. But Dad always manages to have the prawns there. And by the time I go in, I get in to the house, and I give them all hugs and everything. He's always got the prawn salad waiting for me in a dish, and he's just got one bit of kitchen roll placed over it, and then I come in, give everybody a kiss. My mum has got a big chair like Joey and Chandler's chair in Friends, and so I sit on that, I press the button, the legs flip up, and Dad puts the tray on my lap, and normally I've got like a big glass of cider as well. I've got my prawn salad, and then I just sit and eat. And then he'll go, what would you like next? And can I get this for you? And can I get whatever? Because he just is a feeder. And
It's so funny though. It's like, because it feels to me like you're explaining a scene from Gavin and Stacey, but but you substitute the omelette for the prawn cocktail.
yes, it's true.
And I was sort of thinking then, because you're, Joanna and Stacey are so entwined to someone like me. Do you know whether Ruth and James, as soon as they met you, knew it was you?
I think Ruth did. I didn't meet James in the beginning,
Right.
because he was doing History Boys, so he was in America.
Right.
And I went to Leicester Square to Spotlight, where you audition, for stuff.
Yeah.
And when I'd read the script for Gavin and Stacey, I thought, oh my God, it's the first thing I'd ever read where I thought, Jesus, I know this character.
Yeah.
She's me.
Yeah.
This is my family. This is South Wales.
But that's what I
know
mean.
these people.
Yeah.
And there'd be nothing else like that because Welsh things weren't on telly.
Yep.
There was loads of Scottish stuff. And oh my God, if you were Northern, you were just sorted.
Yeah.
And so I read it and thought, oh my God, if I don't get this, I'm giving up.
Yeah.
And I got to Spotlight and I went into the toilets and I think I was putting on some makeup or doing something. And then Ruth came in. I didn't know her, but I'd recently been watching her in Nighty Night, with Julia Davis.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, and I just thought she was amazing. And her character of Linda, I mean, I just loved Nighty Night. So she came in and went, oh, hello, Joanna, nice to meet you. And I went, oh my God, it's lovely to meet you, Ruth. I just think you're amazing. And she said, oh, well, I think that you're great too. I love your work. And I was like, oh, I love you as well. And I can't remember what else I must have witted on about. But she said she came out of there and then went into the room to see Chris Gernon, who was our director. And she said, I've just met Stacey in the toilets. And then I went in and all I talked about, well, oh my God, yes, I'd missed out on Dirty Dancing. They were doing the musical of it in the West End. I got down to the last 3 and I'd missed out, and it had been traumatic because musical theatre auditions are horrific. And oh my God, and it had just gone. And that had happened 2 weeks before the Gavin and Stacey meeting. And apparently I went in and all I did was tell them all about that and what I'd done and everything. And then I walked out of the room and then they both just went, oh God, well, we've just met Stacey. We've got Stacey then. But Stacey originally was supposed to be a bit rougher and have a Cardiff accent like Nessa.
Right.
And then Ruth said to me, I don't think they thought about her being Swansea and a bit sweet as well. And for my next audition, when I had to go back and read with Matt, Ruth said, can you do a Cardiff accent? And I didn't have the internet. I didn't have a computer or anything. And so the only way that you could really do accents was go to Warren Street Station, to this bookshop that used to be there. And you used to have to go in, get a cassette tape with whatever accent it was, put it in your thing and, just listen to that. I couldn't be asked to do that. So I thought, I don't know what a Cardiff accent is like. I'm going to make it up. So I went back to read with Matt and I walked in and I ended up, it must have been like a Valleys accent, because I thought if I'm going to do a Cardiff one, it's going to be all a bit like this and just a bit Welshier. And I started reading with Matt like that. And Ruth said, oh, Jo, can you just pop outside for a minute? So I went outside and she went, what are you doing? And I said, I'm trying to do a Cardiff accent. And she said, well, that's not what one is. So just stop doing it. Just go back to doing what you were doing before. So I was like, oh my God, all right. I went back in and then carried on reading with Matt. And that was it, left. And then he had to read with another girl who I think was a bit rougher and more Cardiff-ish. And then they just decided then to go with me.
Keep
and
it
so,
light.
And so Stacey was quite sweet and Swansea, but with still a bit of roughness and dirtiness underneath, because that's what I like about the first series.
Yeah.
The Stacey's sweet, but she's still a bit rough and sexy.
Do you feel like you're like a representative of Wales now? Like all of you, but that must be very, very strange, because there's such... there's a British pride to that show, but I can't imagine what it's like in Wales.
Oh my God, it
must
is
be
amazing.
But you must feel like the nation has its hand on your
Completely.
back.
Yeah, it does feel amazing. Because in London, I've been living in London since 1995, and you see loads of different actors and stuff in London, and everybody ignores everyone. And say you get off the train and you're at Cardiff Station, it honestly is like everybody is there and everybody just gives you a warm hug, and it's just like, oh my God, I'm back where I belong. And everybody just wants to just come up to you and go, oh my God, we love you, and you're our people, you're one of us. It really is lovely. And it never gets annoying or boring or anything, or you just appreciate it every time somebody comes up to you, because it's just like, we're Welsh.
What is your next brilliant thing, Joanna?
Oh, my next brilliant thing, I think, is Agatha Christie films,
Right.
particularly Death on the Nile. And I think this links in to my thing of being a little girl and being swept up in the whole English. I think I went from Enid Blyton to Agatha Christie, and I was so drawn into this world of everything sort of being in the 1940s or 50s or 30s, costume dramas, and so I read all of the books, but then it was the films that I really loved. And Peter Ustinov as Poirot. Don't like any of the others. None of them are Poirot to me. He is the one and only Poirot. And I really like David Niven as his sidekick. And Death on the Nile. I remember watching it when I was young. And I think it was yet again, I didn't really know what I was watching. And because I only read the books later as an adult. And just seeing, I wanted to be Mia Farrow. I saw Mia Farrow when she plays Jackie in Death on the Nile. And it was just her costumes and the way that she was and her essence. And I just think it's the way that they are. I don't know if this is something really weird and twee about me, but it's just that the essence of it all, how British and English and their accent and the costumes, and everybody's in this completely different world to mine, and then suddenly somebody gets murdered, but everybody looks beautiful and they've got lovely hair and they're all so pretty and the costumes are lovely.
Have you ever been in any of those kind of shows?
I have been in a Miss Marple, because as well, it does remind me of being a child, because with Agatha Christie, when I was little, with Joan Hickson, Miss Marple, that's what I used to sit and watch of an evening. I think it must have been on a Sunday evening or something, but the music of that starting, it just gives me chills now, because it reminds me of being a little girl, and I can still remember certain bits of different episodes, and I always wanted to be in a Miss Marple. And then it must have been about 2009, and they asked me to be in the Blue Geranium, and it was oh my gosh, what's her name now, who was the Miss Marple? Oh gosh, what was the one? And she had red hair, but it wasn't red then, it was grey hair. It was the Blue Geranium. And I can't remember what her name was now.
Angela Lansbury's not her.
No, Julia Mackenzie.
Julia Mackenzie. Can I have a look at see what she looks like,
Yes.
so I can try and get a sense memory?
Oh my gosh, yes, look. There. That's what she's like.
Okay.
So I was really excited that she was Miss Marple. And then, oh my God, just getting to be in a Miss Marple. It was just all of my dreams had come true. I played a character called Hester, who for halfway through, you don't know if she is the murderer. And I got to discover a body, which was so exciting. I had to walk into this house and everything is really quite strange because it's all really quiet. And then I walk up the stairs and then I go to this white cupboard. I open the door and a body falls out. But when you actually come down to doing it, you end up doubting what you really would be like. I think I did like a clasp to the chest and just like like that. But it's so exciting. And then there's like a hysteria on set because it's all about murder and people suspecting everybody else. And I just remember us in fits of giggles and laughing all the way through it. But yeah, but Death on the Nile with Peter Ustinov, David Niven, Mia Farrow. And it was just her, because I mean, she's American, but she did the most amazing British accent in it. And I sit there now as an adult. As soon as it starts, whatever I'm doing, I've just got to drop it and I've just got to sit down and I just recite everything because I'm back there. And I've always found it quite sad that is one part. People always say to me as an actress, is there any part that you would love to play? Anything you would have loved? And there's never been anything. I've never had this great yearning to be Juliet or Lady Macbeth, or I've always been quite impulsive and gone from job to job to job. But actually, if there's one role I could have played, it would have been being in Death on the Nile and playing the character of Jackie. But I've got Eva into them now, my 12-year-old, and she loves a good Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
And she loves just basically a good murder mystery. And I made her watch And Then There Were None recently. And that wasn't the film, but it was like a 3-parter. But like, you know, so it was basically kind of like, you know, a film. It was like the BBC Christmas thing. And it had Charles Dance in it. And Then There Were None is such a good Agatha Christie.
Charles Dance is forever ruined for
Why?
me because I did Never Mind the Buzzcocks, and Daisy May Cooper basically said that her auntie shagged Charles Dance,
Yeah.
and that became the runner for the whole show. And I've
Oh
never
my
seen the actual episode on TV, but basically everything. And did Charles Dance? So.
Oh my God.
That's all. As soon as you said that, I was like, "Oh yeah, he shagged Daisy May Cooper's
God.
auntie."
Well,
But she said it. Yeah. Oh, so go.
No, go on, carry on. What were you going to say?
No, that was it. It's just
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter what you say about him. And I think he's in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
he's horrible in Game of Thrones.
He is. He's terrifying. But we rewatched it again, and I sort of said to my wife, I was like, "Yeah, apparently he knobbed Daisy May Cooper's auntie again." So that's now ruined. But what were you going to say? Go on.
Well, I stayed in a flat with him and Sam Neill in South Africa.
Yes, and I know Sam Neill bizarrely
Yeah?
very well. He's kind of a
Do
friend of
you?
mine. Yeah.
Oh my God! Well, I was doing this thing called
Great
To
guy.
the Ends of the Earth. He's so lovely, isn't he? We were doing this costume drama for the BBC called To the Ends of the Earth, and we were all filming in South Africa. And at one point, Sam Neill said to me and this other actress and Charles Dance, "I got tickets for the rugby. Do you fancy coming to watch it?" And I thought, yeah, okay, that'll be a laugh. So I can't remember where we went, but we all ended up staying overnight in a flat together. And then he took us to the rugby. And I was just cheering along, going, oh, yeah, this is really cool. I've no idea what's going on or who's won. Then we went to a party afterwards with all the rugby players. And I just thought they were all, like, really gorgeous. And then it turns out it was the All Blacks. And I didn't even know. And so my husband was like, oh, my God, that's brilliant. And I didn't really appreciate any of it. I just came away just thinking, God, aren't rugby players really handsome?
Yeah. That, and you are entirely correct. So what year was that?
My God, it must have been round about 2006, 7 or 8, because I was doing Fat Pig afterwards.
So
and
that
I'd met-
would that have been like Jonah Lumu time?
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't really know a lot about rugby, but I think I'm sort of aware that he was almost like the Cristiano Ronaldo / Messi of the rugby world, where there'd never been a rugby player like him. He was a winger. Most wingers are like 5'8". He's 6'10", and was apparently insane.
God.
And you just randomly hung out with the All Blacks.
Just randomly hung out with them because Benedict Cumberbatch was into The Ends of the Earth, and I remember him coming to see me in Fat Pig, a play I did in the Trafalgar Studios in London. So when I was doing Fat Pig, it must have been round about then.
Isn't that random?
Yeah.
Is he a nice guy?
Really lovely, really, really nice. And but it was mad out in South Africa because when I left, he got kidnapped. When I first arrived to film, some of the cast were there before me, and because I'm a character who comes into it later, so I got to the hotel and they said you can't go anywhere without your chaperone.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. I'm really bored. I need to get out and about and do some stuff. So I said, can you just get me a taxi and just take me to a shopping centre somewhere? So they said, we really don't think you should do this. And I said, oh, I want to do it. So I went to a shopping centre, walked around for the whole of the day, and then it must have got to about 4:30 in the afternoon. And, oh my God, the whole atmosphere just changed. It just started feeling really, like, menacing. And I had no way of getting back to the hotel. I didn't have a car. I didn't really know where I was going. And I remember leaving the shopping centre, and there was a car park and loads of fellas and cars everywhere. And I thought, oh my God, I'm in the shit. I'm going to have to just go up to a man in a car and ask him if he'll just take me home, because otherwise I'm just stuck here. I genuinely don't know what I'm going to do. So I went up to this fella and asked him if he was a taxi, and he said yes. And I said, please, will you take me back to this hotel? So I got in the car, and then he drove off. And he drove me around for about an hour and a half, telling me that he was going to take me somewhere. I was going to take off all of my clothes, and he was going to take photos of me. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, most of the time, like, you can find yourself in dodgy situations, but you kind of think, oh, I can get myself out of this quite easily. But it was the only situation I think I've ever been in my life where I thought, you're in the shit. This is serious. You can't get yourself out of this. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I thought, right, okay, just laugh with him, make him laugh, tell some jokes, be quite saucy back to him. If he's saying he's going to do this, laugh back and, be really, really cheeky. So I did that for about an hour and a half as he just drove me around and around, and then eventually he took me back to the hotel. I got out of the car, ran straight up into reception. I was just such a state, and I told them everything that had happened. And they said, oh my God, you're so incredibly lucky. You're just really lucky. Just don't ever do anything like that again. And it was a couple of weeks after that, I'd gone back home. Yeah. And I know that Benedict and Denise Black, I think, I can't remember what her last name was now, and then Theo, this fella from South Africa, had gone somewhere and they'd wanted to drive home at night to get back to the hotel, and some fellas had put some tax out, I think, and the car had gone, and they were basically carjacked. And I know that they kidnapped them. I think they put Benedict in the boot and then drove them off into some field somewhere, and then I think they got Benedict out and had a gun to him, and somehow they managed to beg for their lives, gave them everything, begged for their lives, and then the fellas left them, which is like unheard of. And then I think they just walked back then along the road until they found some women who took them into a house, and then phoned, to get help, and then they, were rescued. I mean, it was like full on.
Jesus, wow.
Yeah, I know.
That
mad.
is gripping and terrifying.
Yeah.
What is, I mean, what a strange way of following this up. What's your next brilliant thing?
Oh my God, my next one's
But it's
my Caravan.
It's your final one. Caravan.
My
Phew.
Caravan.
Safe space. Right.
Yes.
What is it about your Caravan?
So in 2009, James
Please.
and I went away.
No one's going to get
It's all the
hurt.
murders that happened.
Yeah,
in
well,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
We went down to West Wittering, and we borrowed a friend of ours, mother-in-law's caravan that she had down there. We just wanted to get away for a bit. I'd never been to West Wittering before, and James said, right, come on, we got this caravan, let's go down for a week. We went down and stayed in this caravan site, in this big old-fashioned, like, static caravan. It was just in a field, and there's some horses there, nothing else at all. You don't have any mod cons like a clubhouse or anything like that. But it's amazing. You walk through this field and then walk down a dirt track and you're just right on the beach. It's just, you've got the pebbly beach, and then if you walk down the other side, you're right on the sandy beach. It's just gorgeous.
I think, weirdly, I've stayed there.
Oh my God,
in a
really?
caravan park, yeah, in West
probably.
Wittering when I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous, and it's very quiet. So it was just full of old people, and nobody comes and talks to you. You haven't got any kids there. It's just very quiet. And when we were there in 2009, James and I saw a little plot, and we went, "Oh my God, should we get a caravan?" And it seemed really daring at the time.
I love the fact you said that in a caravan. Just try and make it sound right. Caravan, like let's try and make it sexy.
Caravan.
Yeah, a caravan.
And we were like, "Oh my God, should we get one? Come on, should we just go and buy one?" And so we did. We bought
How
the
much?
plot. I
Let's
can't
get vulgar.
remember.
What's it say about?
Honest to God, I can't remember how much the caravan was. All I do know now, though, is that the ground rent every year I think it started at 3,000. We're going on about £6,000 a year now for the ground rent,
Okay.
which in itself is ridiculous. You could get like a really, really nice holiday abroad.
For all that money.
Yeah. You probably couldn't now I've got 4 kids, but if it was just me and James, you get a really good holiday abroad. But
Are you getting all 6 of you in this caravan?
well, yeah, we used to go down. So we got the caravan. We used to go down, and it was me and James and Daisy the Jack Russell.
Of course.
Sometimes we wouldn't even leave the caravan. We wouldn't even walk the dog. I would sit in there. He would just make me French martinis non-stop, and I would have my jigsaw. I'd have a jigsaw table in there, and it's small, right? So you go in, you've just got a small living room, and then you've got a double bedroom. It's classed as a double bedroom. It's not a double. And then we had another bedroom there with 2 single beds, which are smaller than singles. And then there's the toilet, and then just the living room. And I'd sit there, I'd do my jigsaw, I'd look out of the window and see the deer in the field. I'd drink alcohol, wouldn't even walk the dog. And then sometimes James would be like, right, I'm going to walk Daisy. And I would just sit in there and just do a jigsaw and just not talk.
That
And
sounds incredible.
it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing. I loved it. And then we play cards. And I mean, get you off.
I'm just curious.
What a great holiday.
But now-
I'm curious. Were you ever a young person? Like, as in, like, because every story has been you. It's basically.
Oh my God! Right,
Like, you're
we're
like
also saying
Benjamin
this as well,
Button.
right? Yeah. I would sometimes be there with my jigsaw and a glass of sherry because my ideal time, right, is like being in the living room.
But at this point, you're
after- 27.
27.
I must have been about
2009. When's that?
must have been about so I started coming when I was 29.
Yeah.
And then the 6, 7, 8, 9. So I was 29, 31. I was about 32.
That's what I
But
mean.
my mother started giving me sherry from the age of about 7.
Of course, yes.
Because when I was about 3, I had chicken pox.
After 8 mint, gone. You had
I
chicken.
lost my appetite after chicken pox when I was 3. So my nan used to say to my mum, give her a glass of sherry and that will give her an appetite. So I used to have a glass of sherry before everything. There are photos of me when I'm about 7. There's one photo of me and I'm in a skirt, like a little tartan skirt, with over the knee socks and slip-on shoes, and I've got like a little jumper on, and I think I've got a set of pearls on. I've got Princess Diana hair, leaning on the radiator with a glass of sherry.
Exactly. Glass of sherry. I'll only have half. I got to pick Dad up from work.
But then, so I would just sit there and, just do my jigsaws and stuff. Yeah.
And is it still as magical as it once was?
Oh my God, it's amazing. And none of the kids want us to change it because every now and then I go, oh God, can we just get something that's a bit more modern or slightly bigger or, isn't it time that we change? And Kit, especially my 10-year-old, he's really sentimental about stuff. Because I kept the same cushions and net curtains from 2009 until last year. And I said to Kit, I'm taking down the net curtains and putting other ones up because there's mould on those ones. And I changed the curtains and all of the cushions, and he got really upset about it. We had to keep the material from the cushions in a carrier bag under the bed because he just wanted to have them there because it's just his memories.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that now we do walk the dogs, and oh my God, it's amazing. You go down there and we just get, some food, and you just get in there, and it's just, there's just nothing there. And then we go out and we ride our bikes and we go for walks, and there are horses in the field, and the kids just go and play football. And as you walk down to the beach, there is this tree, and there's just like this little piece of wood, because years and years and years ago, must have been around about 2013, we made a little swing, and now other people have copied and hung other ones in the trees around, but we know that is our swing. And it's
that's
just,
pretty
oh my
sweet.
God, it's so lovely. And I could sell everything from the house, and I could just move down there. I'd have a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, no makeup, just my toothbrush, and I'm sorted. And that's where I just want to go and live down there and just stay down there by the sea.
Do you go there every year?
Oh my God, every year. We go there every summertime, and we can stay there for weeks on end. And now we've said we need to just be a bit more organised, and when we pick the kids up from school on a Friday, just chuck the stuff in the car and just do a weekend. But we've basically buggered that up because we've got 4 guinea pigs now. And so I'm thinking, right, we either pack their pen full of food for like Friday night, Saturday, and then Sunday we'd be back, pack it full of food and loads of hay, and the pigs would be all right, or just bring them with us. Put them in a pouch, bring them with us. They might be fine.
Yes, agreed. But you're adding more animals to an already
Yes.
animal-heavy caravan.
Yes.
And also, you know, guinea pigs are designed to keep things in their jowls.
No, that's hamsters.
But surely a guinea pig would do the same, wouldn't they?
No, they've got quite their mouth is sort of more funneled that way, and they've got a
Okay.
very small mouth. Yeah, they don't really store anything.
Okay, well, I'll take that back. Yeah, just stuff it full of food. And do you do foreign holidays, or you just do?
Yes.
Okay.
We do foreign holidays.
Do you feel like you're cheating on the caravan?
No, I don't. I feel like we deserve it because the caravan's amazing, but with all of the kids and everything, it can get quite exhausting. And I think, oh my God, I just do want to have a bit of sun. But we've basically buggered that for ourselves as well, because having a holiday abroad with 4 children, I didn't realise when I was having all of them that it would cost so much to go on holiday with 4 children.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's,
yeah.
Where's your most decadent holiday you've been as a family?
Oh my God, as a family, I just say Mallorca.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been nothing like hugely decadent with all of the kids.
And you also don't need it. It's sort of like
It's
I believe it's fly and flop is the where you just like go, you know, all inclusive, bosh.
Yeah.
It's the most exciting thing when you're a little kid like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's free. It's all free.
Yes.
And there's a chocolate fountain over there.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Mine are just completely like that. And I mean, yeah, because you go somewhere, all they want is the pool. I just need some pina coladas on tap. And then they want a chocolate fountain. And oh my God, I remember we've been to this, we always end up going to the same place, been to the same place for about 4 years. Which I know sounds really boring, but with 4 kids ranging in all of those ages.
No judgment here.
I'm like, oh my God, we get there. We know exactly what to do. I know that they like the food. And there's on one particular time, there's just this chocolate fountain. And I'm so kind of broken now with 4 children that I don't even bother saying to them, don't double dip. And I just remember looking at them once. We were in the restaurant and there were all these beautiful like drapes and curtains in there. And my 2 boys had stood on the curtains. And you know when you turn round and round and round and round, so you've just got yourself in. They were just doing that over and over. But I was so broken by that point that I just disowned them. And then I remember seeing them again. They were both just standing by the chocolate fountain and putting the stuff in and not even putting anything on a plate or bringing it back to him. Just standing there and just double dip. And I just thought, I couldn't give a shit anymore. Just couldn't give a shit. Just get me a glass of something to drink, please.
Do you think that's how, and we never really found this out, but that's what happened at the very end of Willy Wonka's career? Like the Oompa Loompas, they were just mouthing it in, and he went, I'm out of this fucking game. I'm selling all this to Cadbury's.
Yeah.
Let them deal with this shit.
Do you know, right, what I don't get about Willy Wonka is that, you know, he punishes everybody who cheats or steals. He punishes all of them. But Charlie does that. Like, because we watch Willy Wonka, right, all the time now, and it's like the original one. But Charlie does steal the flying... You know, it's not the gobstoppers, it's the flying candy stuff, isn't it? For him to fly up. And he does steal it. And he doesn't say that he's stolen it. So he has done the same as everybody else. And it's only at the end when he goes in and then Willy Wonka shouts and then he says, oh, actually, I want to give this to you. So I don't understand. This is a running thing in my house. We don't understand how Charlie gets away with it. And I know he's good and he's nicer than everybody else. But how does he get away with it? Because he does do the same as everybody else. And also, Grandpa Joe just needs to get the hell out of that fucking bed. Because he's taking from everybody. Because when it turns out that he can go to the factory and he can get the sweets, he's up and out of that bed and he's fine.
Yeah.
That really bugs me.
Well, Grandpa Joe's a benefit cheat. And Charlie is very lucky that the rest of them were so obnoxious. Because clearly Wonka goes, well, like instantly he's picked it straight away. But he's kind of like that sort of like scabby looking kid that looks like his skin needs really good moisturising. It's going to be him in it. The rest of them are buggered. And maybe he kind of goes, he's already made his mind up that it's Charlie, so he can forgive that one kind of mistake.
Doesn't sit well with me though.
Sure, I can feel that, you know. As somebody that doesn't share her korma, I understand. I really enjoyed that. It was so fascinating. We've done everything, and it's been quite the journey. It feels like we've been through the Nile. There was what was it called again? The Wonder Box, the Magic Box,
the Box of Delights.
The Box of Delights, and then we ended up in West Wittering in a caravan. And all the while Daisy was looking over us. Yeah. Do you think I'd have got on with Daisy?
Yes, I do, because you've got past experience with terriers.
I sort of know. You approach them sideways on. And hold the hand like that.
Yeah, or just ignore them to begin with and, you know, play it cool.
It's very difficult to play it cool around a dog you like, though.
I know.
But what we have learned is if anyone is in any way worried that they're not going to be compatible with their dog, the secret is Michael Aspel. Ladies and gentlemen, the fantastic Joanna Page.